Welcome to Let's Talk About It. A podcast gets a platform for real talk, real people, real topics, real conversations. Enjoy the show and enjoy this journey.
Welcome everybody to Let's Talk About It, a podcast that gives a platform for real talk, real topics, real people, real conversations. Today, some of us are going to learn something new today. Acupuncture. I don't know nothing about it. I had to bring a guest on who's going to tell us this. This has been studied the way I looked up. It's been studied and practiced for over 2,500 years. So my guest today is going to tell her story about being an acupuncturist, aromatherapist, and Chinese medicine practitioner. I'd like to welcome my guest today, Dr. Cammy Polson Johnson. Cammy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
All right. So we already talked earlier. You said it's snowing out there in Colorado right now. So,
Yep.
is it deep snow? Is it like 1 or 2 inches, a foot of snow like you guys always get?
Yeah, it's not sticking to the street, but to the grass and the trees.
Okay, all right. So let's get into your story. Let's start off with the college years, right? You said earlier, right? You decided to start your college career at the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. And right, so what made you pick that school?
I guess it kind of picked me. I was a big soccer player and I wanted to go play. I didn't care about school actually at first. I just wanted to play somewhere, and Division I's always the end goal for most people. So I was actually slotted and verbally committed to Creighton because that's where my best friend went. She was a year older than me.
Okay.
And then some things happened and they gave all my money I'm a forward, and they gave all my money to a defender on my club team and then said I could walk on. So I was then gonna just take a year and just go to college somewhere local in Colorado. I'm aging myself, but CU did not have a team. They had a club team at that time, but I was just gonna play at CU. And then a couple schools found out I was available, and Milwaukee gave me the most money. So that's where I went. But end of the day, that's where I was supposed to be. Like, I still have friends from there. I love my coaches. And Creighton's coaches actually ended up, I would have had 4 coaches in those 4 years. And instead I got like a family that was coaching me, and I got to take our school to the first NCAA bid ever. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, so, but I went to school. I've always been fascinated with the body and how the body works and what makes it go. And so I went to UWM and didn't really know what I was going to do, but just said pre-med because I thought I wanted to be a doctor, an orthopedic surgeon. Always wanted to work with athletes. Yeah. And then truth be told, I got a 1.7 my first semester. Yes.
Hold on. You got a 1.7. You was going for pre-med?
Yep. And that's because I didn't go to class and I didn't buy a book. So I guess I did.
What was you doing?
I was sleeping. I had a window that had a drape, and I slept and played soccer. And then my coach said, "Hey, listen, you need to switch your major, and you need to go to class and buy the books. Like, that's what your scholarship's for, or otherwise you're gonna lose it." So I had to, that summer, I had to go to summer school to get eligible again. And then I figured out college. So I was all right after that, but and it's, it's all divine. God works in all the ways. Like, if I go back to, that's where actually I first started knowing God was guiding my life, is college, because I wanted one path and he sent me on another that was much better for me. And so then I graduated with much better than a 1.7. I graduated, but actually I got to be at Milwaukee for 5 years. on my scholarship. The fifth year I helped coach, but that fifth year I also got to get 2 minors. So I have my major is in kinesiology, which is the study of human movement, and then my minors are in child psychology and nutrition.
Now you said it's the in body movement. Like what do you mean by body movement?
The study of human movement.
Okay, what
So
just moving around?
yeah, so like biomechanics, anatomy,
Oh,
physiology.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
like how your body
okay.
moves, how it works, how it functions. Um,
Wow.
you know,
Whoa,
like
man.
stress testing, like how you learn, like how do you learn to juggle, how do you learn to do new tasks, stuff like that.
I'll tell you right now. I'm going to bring you back on another time because I got 1,000 questions about that one. Anyway,
Okay.
go ahead.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, and then then I graduated. I got out of school, was a personal trainer for a while and did
Okay.
nutrition counseling for an offshoot of we were called Slim Sense, but it was a really big supplement company in the 90s. I can't
Okay.
remember what they were called, but and then so I worked in those 2 fields for a while, and then just I wanted more. I wanted to help people more than just with nutrition and exercise, and I felt like I was just a cheerleader there. And
Really?
it
Mm.
just, you know, it was hard to motivate people to eat well, because if they want to eat the way they want to eat, and if they don't want to move, they don't want to move. And so I just got pulled to go back. I love studying. I love school. I'm a research nerd. I love to learn.
Not me. I hated school, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, and I think that's why Chinese medicine drew me, because, like you said, 25,000 years, it goes back 2 to 3,000 years ago. And there's only like 15% of the medicine is translated to English. And I mean, I probably have only skimmed the surface, and I've been practicing for 21 years. So,
You said 15% is only been translated to English?
yeah.
So did you have to learn like Chinese or Mandarin to learn the other 85%?
No, it's just that 15% is enough to keep us busy. I mean, you have 3,000 years worth of history.
So if 15% can keep you busy, I can imagine what the 85% can do.
Right, right. I mean, in 15, I probably, honestly, probably have only learned about 5 to 7%, because you learn the basics. So in my undergrad, well, so my master's for Chinese medicine. So let me back up a minute. So then
Okay.
I was looking into others. I was looking into doing something else with my background, but I wanted more schooling. And so I thought about chiropractic school. And I really
Okay.
wanted to do muscle testing. I don't know if you know what that is, but
No, you got to break that down. Yeah.
so muscle testing is where you ask the body specifically if a certain thing is good for it or not, and then you press down on someone's muscles and they respond like positive or negatively.
Oh,
And then, you know, like, okay, so let's say avocados, yeah, they're great for everyone, right? Not
yeah.
necessarily. Like, some people can't digest them, some people it's not good for them. So you like would hold like an avocado to them, and if their bodies get weak, that is not good for them. And so I wanted and I learned the system when I was very, very young. Like, actually in high school, I had a chiropractor that he was the only one that could fit. I had a lot of pelvic issues from playing soccer. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually, when I was 16, got diagnosed with osteoporosis of my pelvic bone, which was a misdiagnosis. And I went to a chiropractor, and he did these muscle testings and found out I was just calcium deficient. And so then he just supplemented me with calcium, and I got better, and I'd stay better. So
Wow.
I knew, like, I kind of wanted to do something like that. I looked into a bunch of chiropractic schools. They were all in really not so good air, like just places I didn't feel like I wanted to live for 6 years.
I understand.
Yeah, and I mean, Wisconsin was hard for me for five. It was great, but the weather there is not my jam. For 5 years, I didn't want to do that again. I wanted to either go somewhere I really wanted to be. And then my best friend at the time said, you should go to acupuncture school. And I'm like, what's acupuncture? I didn't know what it was either. I mean, this is
Okay.
25 years ago. And she said, well, you should just look it up, look at the schools. And there's actually there was two of the best schools for Chinese medicine in Colorado. Okay. And I looked up acupuncture schools, and most of them had these two books that you needed to read to even apply. And one was called Between Heaven and Earth, and then one was called The Web That Has No Weaver. And I read those books and I fell in love. I applied to acupuncture school without ever having one acupuncture treatment.
Really?
Yeah.
From reading two books.
Yep. I just knew.
That's amazing.
Yeah, these books are, the way Chinese medicine describes how the body works. And I really say that like a true Chinese medicine doctor, I mean, my master's was a 4-year program, a 4-year accelerated program. So people, I don't think, realize how long we go to school, but it's also just, I feel like they're the first functional medicine doctors. Functional medicine is like all the new rage now. Like, you want to go to a functional medicine doctor, and like, what's the difference of that is the functional medicine doctor is looking at all the systems put together, like your heart and your liver and your kidneys and your spleen and your gallbladder. Like, they're looking at everything. Like, how is everything affecting your body? That's what every acupuncturist does that goes to Chinese medicine school. So to me, we are the first functional medicine doctors. And so if people say, do you practice functional medicine? Yes, I do, but I don't run a ton of tests. We look at, like, acupuncture, Chinese medicine. We look at the whole system. We look at your organ systems. We take your pulses, which reflect your organ systems. We look at your tongue. We look at your facial complexion. We look at the temperature of your body. When you go to an acupuncturist, their intakes are going to be so entailed. Like, how do you poop? How many days do you poop? Like, when do you poop? What's the color of your poop? Like, yeah.
What? All that?
All that, because it all matters.
Cammy, listen, I want to back you up for 1 second. You say you got your master's, right? Did you get your master's from Wisconsin, Milwaukee?
No, I got my master's from the Colorado School of Traditional Chinese Medicine.
Okay, it's that one. So now I saw in your bio you got your doctorate from Five Branches University.
Yeah, and my doctorate is with an emphasis in integrating Eastern and Western medicine, because I really think both are necessary. I don't think we need all the pharmaceuticals that we have, but Western medicine is really good for testing, like for all the diagnostic stuff we need. And when you do need medicine, it's good for that. And it's really good for emergency care. Like, anything you need to go to the emergency room for, like cut finger, like, appendicitis, blocked bowels, stuff that needs surgery right away. That's where Western medicine's amazing for that. But for general wellness, for preventative care, for getting people off of medications, for treating people naturally, like using food as medicine, looking at like the complete person, looking at the diet, the lifestyle, the emotional status, they don't know what to do. They don't know where
so that's the Eastern medicine.
Yeah, that's
right.
Eastern.
What you just said. That's Eastern.
Yep, that's Chinese medicine. Like, Chinese medicine, we're looking at all of you. We're looking at your emotional state, your stress levels, your your how stressed you are, like intellectually, physically, emotionally, past traumas. We look at the whole system and we say, like, what is your body trying to do? what is your body trying to help? And it's interesting because when I went to school, 20 years ago and graduated, I was told, like, you're never going to make any money. So if you're in here for money, you're in the wrong profession. And now, and like, and I always was told, I mean, it was always like you had to prove acupuncture worked. Like, acupuncture was like the thing that everyone like gets about Chinese medicine, but they don't realize it's also a lot of diet therapy, a lot of herbal therapy, a lot of lifestyle therapy, getting someone to breathe better, getting someone to go to sleep at a different hour, or the body really loves to eat and sleep at the same times every day. But other than that, it loves variety. And so, like, and people say, well, what diet do you think I should do? Well, it's different for everybody. Like, is intermittent fasting good? Well, maybe not for you. How about cold plunging? How about saunas? Like, it's not a one size fits all medicine. So acupuncture, Chinese medicine, acupuncture and Chinese medicine, it's more of individual. It's more like what's going on in your life, what's happened in your past, and like how do we balance all those organ systems. And for me, I kind of specialize in pulse taking. So there's a system that where we feel your pulses, but there's just for example, so there's like three positions on both sides, and there's three different positions, and there's three different depths. So like if I put it all the way down to your bone, I can tell what you've had since you were born. And then if I pull all the way to the top, it's more of what's happened on like the past couple of days. But so those six positions, they also correlate. Those six, like the three here, they correlate with organ systems. So what we're doing is we're feeling how is the blood moving through all your organ systems. And that's kind of the way.
Wait, Cammy, I'm sorry to cut you off. How did you learn that? Did you guys go to like you work on other people? It's like how the way did they teach you that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the 4 years of schooling, but then pulse taking, like, so there's that with the pulse taking. You really, like me, I took a ton of extra classes. I've studied with people that, that can tell you, like, you got a divorce, like people that can tell a trauma has happened to you in your past, and just by feeling your pulses. And my husband, he jokes like, did you get them? Did you take their pulses? Because it's almost always that's how people are like, wait, what? Like, because if I feel a pulse and I say like, hey, what happened here, or what happened at this point in your life, or do you have trouble sleeping, or do you like, we can tell all of these things, but it's not subjective. It's not just like, oh, Cammy just thinks that. It's a system that we've learned, and it's like, okay, if they're not getting a lot of blood flow into their heart, then their hearts are blocked. Like, why is their heart blocked? Well, their heart's blocked because they've had a past emotional trauma, or they're not sleeping. And so then, I mean, it's very it's very objective, but then as a practitioner, you practice and you practice and you practice, and there does come some intuition with that, like reading people's bodies, but it's mostly blood flow. And that's how acupuncture works too, is blood flow. Like, where there's blood flow, there's life, right? Where blood flow, there's oxygen. That's why you exercise, is to get more blood flow, is to get oxygen to the system. So when we're feeling the pulses, we're feeling like, how is the blood moving through there? And the best way I like to describe it, and actually is also how I describe acupuncture, and like, why does it work? How does it work? Is it's a blood flow issue. So you have past traumas, which is physical, emotional, intellectual, whatever it may be. you're like, there's going to be what we call stagnation in your pulses. So your pulses aren't going to flow as fluidly as they should in certain areas on that we're feeling. And so with Chinese medicine, acupuncture, what happens, like the best way I like to describe it is if you pretend that your organ systems are like oceans and lakes.
Okay.
And the pathways in between them, because they're all connected. That's functional medicine. Everything's connected. So you think those rivers and streams, they get, those traumas are like rocks, putting rocks into those rivers and streams.
Okay.
So when you get acupuncture, the idea is that you're moving the rocks out of the way so that the blood can flow fluidly to all the organ systems.
Wow. All right. So wait, let me ask you, like, in your opinion, like, what is your definition? Because a lot of people still don't know. Like, what's your definition of acupuncture?
Increasing blood flow. Like increasing blood flow to better health. Like really. And like, because there, dry needling. Have you heard of dry needling?
I've heard of it, but explain it for me.
So dry needling is like, it's getting used by chiropractors, physical therapists, athletic trainers. I mean, all the gamut is like all into dry needling. But what dry needling is they stick a needle into a certain area muscularly into the body to increase blood flow. So if a certain part of the body is injured, then they're trying to increase blood flow to that area so that it'll heal faster. So I like to say dry needling is like very symptomatic. It's like for one symptom. It's great if you have just like an injury, that's there in that one area. But if you have like your shoulder hurts and your back hurts and your knee hurts, you probably need to get acupuncture, because it's probably more than just blood flow to that area. It's probably an organ system level. So I say dry needling is like kind of the gateway drug to acupuncture, because it's
so they basically stole your idea. Basically, they made their own.
Yeah, a lot of acupuncturists hate dry needlers. Like, and hate is a strong word, but I work in an office I work at Denver Sports Recovery, and it's very hard for them to keep acupuncturists, because a lot of acupuncturists just are very mad that everyone else can dry needle, because that's the difference. Like, we go to school for 4 years to be able to stick a needle. I mean, we're in school for 1.5 years before we even stick a needle in somebody. Like, we would have to do oranges, fruit, like stuffed animals. Like, you would have to stick all these other things before you stuck them into bodies. Whereas like chiropractors, MDs, athletic trainers, they go for weekend courses. Like, a lot of them don't even know how to open a package of needles. Yeah.
Wait. Hold on a second. So they go for weekend course. So you might as well say that's like what? The western part right there. They go for weekends. You guys in the eastern part, you go for years.
Exactly.
But they're basically taking what you guys did and do a little quick exit to it.
Exactly. And it's like a quick fix. Like, at my office, we say, if you want the quick fix, you go dry needling. If you want something long term or the system fix, you come to me.
So is that the same as like what's the thing? Cupping?
Yeah,
is that the same thing? A dry needling?
No, so cupping is another.
It's similar, right?
Cupping is another modality that they got from Chinese medicine, but it's also like a very old practice from other countries as well. But Chinese medicine is who brought it to the Western world. So like cupping, there's also what we call gua sha, but they call it a Graston's or scraping technique. That's also Chinese medicine. So they definitely take all of the acute stuff, but that's all surface stuff. So cupping is for the surface, and even there they don't totally do it justice, like meaning like when you get all those bruises from cupping, that's not the way an acupuncturist would do it, because the bruising, it actually kicks your other organ systems in, like it's to have to heal the bruising. And so there's a way to do cupping that's healing, instead of asking other organ systems to come help one that's not there. So yes, like cupping, scraping, dry needling, that's all like the Western quick fixes. And to an acupuncture, Chinese medicine is like the long burn of like, we're gonna try to, like, I guess acupuncture too, I'd say it's like we're trying to get to the root of the problem. We're trying to treat the root of the tree, whereas they're just treating the branches.
So when you got your doctorate, right, it's a combination of Eastern and Western medicine. Like you can't separate that, or it has to be together. You have to learn both of them.
So you learn both of them, and really when we got to the doctorate, what we really were doing was learning how to integrate into the Western system in a healthy way, and also like learning how to look at blood work from a holistic viewpoint, instead of just looking like pulling like your basic blood panel and saying like what could, like, because Western medicine will only treat things if they're in alarm state, whereas we look at the blood panels and we say, oh, well, if we don't work on these things, there's gonna be an alarm state. So it's more of like taking and learning the Western system, like learning how they're doing things, why they're doing things the way they do. And honestly, like, I don't fault the doctors, the Western medicine world, doctor wise, they're just doing what they've learned. And that's how the system is set up to be. Like, you go to a heart doctor, a cardiologist, they're really good at knowing the heart, like, but they don't really know how it integrates with the rest of the body. Like, for example, I work with a neurologist because I treat a lot of head trauma and post-concussive issues. And so there's a couple of neurologists that I work with in Colorado. And one of them specifically, I was having a client she was having trouble focusing her eyes. But it would only happen at certain times. And so like we concluded that it was like her brain was not telling her eyes what to do properly. And so I sent her to the neurologist, who looked at her, did a couple treatments with her, and then he sent her to an eye specialist. And I said, well, why are you sending her to an eye specialist? And he said, because it's her eyes. And I said, but it's her brain connecting with her eyes. Like, so isn't that you? Like, aren't you the brain specialist that knows how these things connect with other things? And he's like, well, no, that's not how the system works. Like, I only know the brain. So he really didn't know how to connect the brain to the eyes, besides referring her to an eye specialist.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay, Cammy, right? Listen, we'll come back to acupuncture, but how did you get involved with the aromatherapy? How do you become an aromatherapist? And what is it?
So aromatherapy is like using plants instead of pharmaceuticals to help people heal. So aromatherapy, like my sense of smell is the strongest sense I have. It's like my dad used to joke that I could smell a fart before it even came out. And so, and that's also part of why I didn't finish med school, pre-med, is because the cadaver labs, like, they're just the smell of them. I was like, there's no way I could be a surgeon. Like, if cutting into flesh smells like this, like, I can't do it. And so my nose is a gift. It was a gift given to me. And then I had baby. I had a baby, but I don't know if I was into that before she was born or not. But what I remember is that so for me, aromatherapy works better for emotional, mental health issues and
Okay.
digestive issues. So because
Really?
if someone can't digest an herb or digest the food, then how are they going to get better? I'm just wasting their money, right? If I'm telling them to take this herb or eat this food, but they're not able to digest it, then it's not serving
Yeah.
them. So
Wow.
I, a couple of my, in acupuncture school, probably like we were introduced to it because we kind of got introduced to a little bit of everything. And then I had a couple of teachers that, again, I took extra classes from. And for me, I had a lot of digestive issues. And come to find out
Mhm.
later, I'm very sensitive to gluten and dairy. But I
Really?
didn't know that then. And so I started working with essential oils, and then I had a baby. She's 13 now.
Okay.
And when I had her, is like I didn't want to use any medicine. And my girl she's 13 and she's only been on one round of antibiotics her whole life. And that was
Awesome.
because she had strep throat, and I was afraid. I didn't know how to treat it, but she's had strep throat 3 times since, and I've been able to treat it naturally. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, but so aromatherapy is using plant medicine through the nose because the olfactory nerve is really strong healer, and it
Mhm.
also holds a lot of memory. So that's why it's very good for mental health things or past trauma. I mean, you think
Really?
about like when you smell something that you smelled at your grandmother's house, if your grandmother was a good memory, like you can go right back to that place, right? um
Why? You know what? That's crazy you say that. My mother like passed away years ago, right? And I still have her coat. And Cammy, I swear to you, it's in my closet. Every time I smell it, and this is years ago, I smell her.
yeah.
It's so crazy you said that.
Yeah, so
Like,
it holds like your olfactory nerve holds memory, and so if it holds memory, it can hold healing as well. So if you work through that, and the thing with aromatherapy is, again, the Western world has taken it and just butchered it and pummeled it, and like you see all these like multi-level marketing companies like doTERRA and Young Living, and they combine all these different things, and it's just too much. And like, oh, use 10 drops of this in your diffuser. And I mean, for mental health, like, well, really any aromatherapy, you like, I always tell people use more often but less of the amount. So you use like 1 or 2 drops every couple of hours, and that's a
mhm.
therapeutic dose until you get through whatever you're going through.
Wow. Okay. All right. All right. Oh, wow. You just, what you said was cool. I really like that. I'm taking that in big time. I really am. I really am. Let's get back to acupuncture here. It was something I wanted to ask you. Damn. Okay. Got you. Yeah, because you know what I mean? Because I got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
How long does a treatment usually last on the average? Like, how long does a treatment last on an average?
Yeah, so that's a good question that a lot of people ask. So, and for first I want to say, like, the treatment should be at least an hour long. Like, so you should go for at least an hour, because I, in the office I work in, being a quick fix spot, like I've had people
Mhm.
come in and say, oh, I thought this was only a half an hour. And it's like, no, man, like you sit with the needles. Like, so the needles, they go in, and I tell people, if they hurt at all, they just feel like little bug bites. It feels like, oh, you got hit by a mosquito, oh, you got hit by a mosquito, kind of like that, if you feel them at all. So it's not a bad sensation. Some people are more needle sensitive than others, but your treatment yeah, but you'd be surprised. Like, it's not like a Western needle, it's not a hypodermic needle, it's not a hollow point. It's the average diameter of a needle is the size of a strand of hair.
Really?
So you're just getting like this really, and the other thing I'd say here is that why does acupuncture work is because your body is made of mostly electricity and water. That's mostly what we're made of, right? Is electricity and water. Most of us are over electrical, especially with all of this technology, especially with the way we've evolved. Like, we have electricity all around us, and most of us are dehydrated. So a lot of times, like, you have too much electricity and not enough water. So that being said, like, when you go to an acupuncture appointment, you really want to make sure you've had enough water to drink. And I also tell people to really have eaten something, because you have to think of it as like an internal workout. So you wouldn't go and work out, do a physical workout on an empty stomach, or if you did, you wouldn't get as much done, right? You'd still be able to do it, but it wouldn't be at your best capacity. And so, like with acupuncture, you want to make sure your belly's full, because that's going to be the energy to move. Like, it's like an internal workout for your organ systems to all connect and figure out how to flow together. So like so back to being electricity and water, then we're sticking metal into electricity and water. What happens if you put the blow dryer in the bathroom with you, or in the bathtub with you? Yeah. So I joke, like, my dad, he passed 12 years ago, but he was an electrician. And I joke that he rewired houses and buildings, and I rewire bodies. And that's really the way I think of it, is like, we're going in and we're getting a circuit going to rewire your body to behave differently than it has in the past that's not working for you. And
so I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so that's okay. So then, I stick the needles in. So, and a lot of people, so I spend a half an hour. I spend an hour with each client, but I spend a half an hour like talking to them and sticking needles in them. A lot of clients, just because it's interesting, once the needles go in, everything comes out. Like, I joke that I probably know more about most of my clients than their spouses do, because it just, the flow starts happening and then they start talking. And I've been asked to like do shorter treatments, but for me, that half hour is really important to let the person download. They download anything that's bothering them, that's they need to work on, that they're confused about. And then, so that half hour, I have to put needles in, to listen to them, to hear them, to give my suggestions to them. And then they sit with the needles in for 27 minutes. And there's studies that have been done that it takes 27 minutes for the blood to move through all the organs. So for me, that's really important. Like, if we're recirculating the body and trying to get the blood flow to all the organs, I want it to be scientific as well. And so and a lot of people have trouble sitting still for 27 minutes, but when there's needles in you, you don't move. And it's not comfortable at first for those type of people, but then later, those are the people that just learn to really love the acupuncture and probably become the biggest advocates. Because part of the problem of not being able to lay down like that is that your body's stuck in sympathetic dominance, is what we call that. So the body's stuck in the flight or fight, and it has trouble. It doesn't even know how to go into the parasympathetic system, which is the rest and digest. And so that's part of acupuncture, is like teaching the body how to relax again so that it can function better. But so then you're in there for, so you're getting the needles for at least 27 minutes. And then I come back in, take the needles out. And most people in our office, we call it acubrain or acustoned. Like after the treatment, people are just really like relaxed. And we always joke, we always joke that we should take before and after pictures. And the front desk always knows like if they're my client after the treatment, because there's just a certain like days, and just that's what happens when you relax, right? So and when you're forced to relax, and the body.
You answered probably like 5 questions in that statement right there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I do want to ask you, how deep do you go?
So it depends on the area, and it depends on what I'm treating. So if I'm treating mental, emotional stuff, I stay pretty surface, just because you don't want to go too deep too fast. It can really stir up some stuff. But if I'm treating like the physical, the muscular body, I go deep into the muscle. So, and I have anywhere from like a 1/2 inch needle to like a 6-inch needle.
What? Oh,
yeah.
no.
So the 6-inchers usually go in the glutes.
What?
Yeah. For
What,
like sciatica or low back pain. 6 inches, but it doesn't always go in 6 inches. It just gives us enough room to do that.
I can't. So, okay. Wow. I was not expecting that right. That is crazy. All right. What are some of the acupuncture points?
Okay, wait. So let me finish that. So
Oh no, my bad. Go.
no, that it's okay, because the points are kind of, that's like really entailed, and I don't know,
Okay.
like I mean I could go over a couple, but the other thing to expect, so then your treatment's done, they leave, and like the initial treatments, they should last like at least 1 to 3 days. It just depends on how long somebody's had something and what you're working on. And then the idea is that you come like once a week until your symptoms are gone week to week. And then you push back your treatments to once every 2 weeks. And then if your symptoms are gone every, for those 2 weeks, then you push back to every 3 weeks. So the more treatments you have, typically the longer you'll hold the treatment. Back to your initial question. I think that was your initial question. So I want to answer that, like how long does it last? It really depends on also how long you've had the disharmony. So if you've had it for like 20 years, you're probably only going to feel different for a couple of days, but it's really again individual. Like I've had some people that have had knee pain for 12 years and I treat them twice and they're fine. And that and then they never have knee pain again. And it really just depends. And it also depends on what the patient does in between the treatment. So if you get the treatment and then you go right back into the environment that's causing why you're there to get the treatment, you probably won't hold the treatments as long.
Really?
Yeah. So I always like to tell people to like really, with your acupuncture treatments, try to like schedule them at the end of your day, or like when you don't have to go back to work, or like where you can go home and just relax and let that treatment settle in and let your body just be in that balanced place for a while.
Well, okay. So right before I get back to the question I asked you for, like, what are some points? Is acupuncture good for children?
Yeah, it works for kids, but they say that kids' channels don't develop till they're 10. So there's another method called shonishin, and so it's just some acupuncturists know it, some don't, but it's like using different tools to like just activate whole channels. So you don't, like, my daughter didn't ever get acupuncture until she was 10, and even then she so she gets it, but only every once in a while. But yeah, kids can be treated, but their channels aren't fully developed until they're 10, and so their points aren't refined. So it doesn't really make sense to treat them with needles
Right.
until after they're 10. And a lot of kids will respond to diet and lifestyle changes. Usually kids' issues are from either a diet or a lifestyle or an environmental thing that's happening with them.
Okay. So, like I said, before we get to the points, the charge for it. It does insurance cover any of this or not? Or is this just
And
a
that's
pay by session?
I've always been a cash practice. Like I've never taken insurance. And the office I work in only takes insurance for chiropractic care. And like I said, we have athletic trainers, PTs, massage therapists, but our chiropractors are the only ones that take insurance. Insurance is really individual. So what I tell people is call your insurance company and ask, does my insurance cover acupuncture? It never used to, but lately, at least here in Colorado, they'll do like insurance will cover 12 treatments a year for most people. And
Okay.
so I always tell people like at least try that, and then what I tell people is try that. Ask your insurance company, what does acupuncture cover, and then or is acupuncture covered, and then how many treatments, what's my copay, and then what you do is you just look up acupuncture, and I would look up Chinese medicine doctors near
Mhm.
me. Like that's what I would do. Google that. And then what I tell people is get your top 3 that are closest to you, send them to me, and or just like read their websites or wherever their social media is, like click into that and see which one of those 3 you feel you'd fit best with, because again, your acupuncturist is also not a one size fits all. So not every acupuncturist is created equal. And like I said, like I went to school for 4 years, but now there's programs that people can go to school for 2 years and get out and be acupuncturist. And so that's why I say look up Chinese medicine doctors or Chinese medicine practitioners, because yeah, it's confusing and it's not serving our profession at all. But if you want the
No.
highest mechanic for your car, do the research and get the best people that are qualified, you know.
All right. So let's get to your give us some points.
So this is a point right here in between your eyes. This is called yin tong, and this is said to
Right
be
there.
the most relaxing point on the body. So this is always a point to, like, this is a point that if you have stress or any unconscious stress, like you can even rub this point. You can rub it up if you want to have more energy. You can rub it down if you want to be relaxed. Right above that,
Oh, well, I'm gonna start doing that.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm start doing that.
The other thing, well, with relaxation, the other thing is your ears are microcosms of your
Okay.
body. So the ear is like, it's like it has all of the points of your whole body within your ear. So I can look into someone's ear and I can say, oh, you're having neck pain or shoulder pain or sciatica, just by like what their ears are doing. And so, like, for relaxation purposes, if you just rub your whole ears, you
All right,
will
check it.
you will relax your body. Yep, and you just rub them however you wherever you want,
Oh,
and you can even like
okay.
stick your fingers in the holes and just pull down gently and like rub into there. There's a point in that corner. It's like a triangle at the top of your ear. Like you feel that triangle in this like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like if you press on that real gently, that's for the emotional body. And then the harder you press goes to the more physical body. So if you need to relax, that's something that you could do as well. And then I tell people just to push their like gentle or relax, and then just take deep breaths in and out your nose. And you just breathe in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and breathe out. Like you breathe out your mouth like a verbal sigh. So you breathe in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you breathe out. So the verbal sigh helps the liver
Wait a
release.
minute.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You gonna have me doing that, but go ahead. I'm listening. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You got me doing that.
like just because we're at our head, there's also a point if you go into your oh here, let me what's going on. So if you go into like right above your nose and like just like a half inch into what would be your hairline,
Yeah.
there's like a little divot there, and that is to control your whole nasal passage, like ear, nose, and throat. And so this is when I like to teach first aid wise, because if you're and come down just a little bit, come down just a little bit more. Yeah, like kind of in that area, and be real gentle when you're feeling, because if you're pressing too hard, you won't feel the change of texture in there. But yeah, like you're about right in there. That like if you have a stuffy nose, if your nose is bleeding, that like regulates the nasal passage. So if you need your nose to stop bleeding, we shouldn't hold here, like we should hold
It's
here.
up here, right up here.
Yeah. And or if you like if my daughter is sick, or if you have a stuffy nose, or you have allergies, like if you rub on here, that helps open that whole airway so that you can breathe again.
Cammy, you have given so much information here. I could talk to you for hours. I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon. Uh, wow, that's crazy. I never knew this was right here. I never knew even a quarter of what you were saying. Like, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is really amazing. But before we go, I do want to play this game with you, and I do want you to have your final message as well.
Okay.
So you say you like to play games, right?
Yep.
Sure?
Yep.
What's your favorite game?
Soccer.
Oh, well, we know that. Did you play now? Did you play like for fun?
I haven't for a while. I'm definitely not fit enough to play soccer. It's a game that you need a lot of fitness. So I definitely might pull a hamstring if I went out there, but I can kick it around.
I bet you can.
Uh-huh.
All right. I'm going to set up the clock here. Cammy here. Dr. Cammy is going to play random pick and choose questions. She says she's going to play it. She says she's so excited about it. She's going to wipe everybody out. Cammy, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Let's hit the button. If you can be only one age for the rest of your life, what age would that be?
33.
Fruits or vegetables?
Vegetables.
Outdoor dining or indoor dining?
Outdoor.
Tree swing or hammock?
Ooh, tree swing.
All right. Attending a party or hosting a party?
Attending a party.
All right. Christmas gift or birthday gift?
Ooh, Christmas birthday gift.
Photos or videos?
Photos.
Childhood nickname?
Cakers.
Okay. Calling or texting?
Calling.
Words or actions?
Actions.
Start work late or leave work early?
Leave work early.
Favorite color?
Blue.
Free healthcare or free education?
Ooh. Free healthcare.
All right. Clean as you cook or clean up at the end?
Clean as you cook.
Talking or listening?
Listening.
123.
Oh.
I like it. I like it. First and foremost, you gotta explain that nickname of yours, the childhood nickname. You guys, what was it again?
Cakers. Cakers.
Okay, so
my name is
you guys explain that.
another nickname, but it's my name is Cammy K. Polson Johnson. But my brother, my whole family would call me Cammy K. My brother's older than me 2 years, and he would call me Cammy Cake. And then my whole family just started calling me Cakers. And then just like the people that are really close to me call me Cammy K or Cakers.
Oh, I love it. I do love it. I do love it. Cammy, I want you to wait a minute before you have your final word. Tell me if this is true right here. The general guidelines of acupuncture. Yes or no? Mental health,
Yes.
anxiety,
Yes.
arthritis,
Yes.
long-term pain,
Yes.
depression,
Yes.
insomnia,
Yes.
migraines.
Yes.
I'm getting to a point. Nausea,
Yes.
sinus congestion,
Yes.
stress,
Yes.
infertility,
Yes.
addiction,
Yes.
and skin appearance.
Yes.
That's just some of them. So, on that note, right there, out of everything you agree with, what is your final message on, in your opinion, how important acupuncture is?
I always say I don't know how I lived 32 years without it. I think everyone should do it. I think everyone should have access to it. I don't go more than 3 weeks without it myself. I truly believe blood flow is life. So I wish everyone could do it. I wish I could give it to everyone. I truly believe, I mean, I wouldn't still be doing it for 21 years later if I didn't see what it did and feel what it does for myself. I truly, truly, truly believe in it. And I mean, acupuncture, Chinese medicine is really probably why I'm as healthy as I am today. So food, the stress, the digestive, I mean, just the balance of it and how it balances life. And I really, I would say everyone, but the thing is, it's not a quick fix. It's a long, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And you have to, you can't just go for a year, like, and that's the tricky part about it. Like, I think like I have people on maintenance plans that really, it's used for prevention in China. It's not used for 911 care. And a lot of my clients come to me after they've been to a gamut of doctors. If you have a lot of symptoms that no one else can figure out, like, find a good acupuncturist. If you have mental health issues and you want to not take medication and it's from past trauma and not passed down to you, there are things I believe that, like acupuncture, if you have like stage 4 things, it's not going to reverse those, but it's going to help with the side effects of them. If you have mental health that's in your family and you're on medication, you might still need to stay on the medication, but you could supplement with acupuncture and eventually get off of some of the medications. Like, I really believe that people that are on multiple medications, it's a lot of a blood flow issue and digestion issues. Like, they're not digesting their lives. And so it's starting to back up the whole system. Like, acupuncture, Chinese medicine, gut health is health. I just think, like, if you can't afford an acupuncturist, at least meet with one and see what they would have you do with your diet and lifestyle and try those things for a while.
You heard, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Dr. Cammy Polson Johnson. You have been an extremely great guest, great information. I thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, I will see you next week for another episode of Let's Talk About It. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching the show. Please subscribe, click on the bio, support the show. Thank you so much again. We'll see you next week for another amazing episode on Let's Talk About It.